3 quick rapid fire questions I'll ask you and just quick answers, whatever comes on the top of your mind.
So I have to just answer in one word?
When you're investing in a bond, what are 3 things that you look at?
So I look at, one is the issuer credential, which is related to, let's put, credit rating.
Correct.
Is one.
Would you invest in bonds for regular income or for long-term wealth creation?
I'll go for regular income.
Regular income, yeah.
For wealth creation, other products are there.
Correct. Hi everybody, to the second podcast of Bond Karega India with BondView. आज हमारे साथ है Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, who has more than 3 decades of experience in financial services, leading various roles in fixed income industries, etc. And sir, thank you so much for your time today. Very, very happy and glad to have you.
Thank you, Vedant. Thank you. Glad to meet you. I think we have been interacting a lot on the overall subject.
Right.
Glad that we are doing a podcast today, and I'm sure it will be an exciting thing for our viewers and investors. Yeah,
absolutely. So we'll get started by knowing a little bit about your journey. So, आप 3 decades, 30 years plus से इस industry में है, various roles. You've seen the development of the markets from the 90s, now 2025, etc. What has your journey been? If you can tell us a little bit around that, and where do you also see this, going forward with respect to the financial sectors, also with respect to the bond market?
वेदांत, मैं जो अपने जर्नी को नरेट करने के पहले मैं थोड़ा सिंप्लीफाई भी करूंगा कि ये ओवरऑल जर्नी बहुत ही एक्साइटिंग रहा. 90s में व्हेन आई वाज वर्किंग विद वन ऑफ द लीडिंग डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हाउस, द क्लासिक प्रोडक्ट यूज्ड टू फिक्स्ड डिपॉजिट्स.
ओह, ओके.
मींस द इंटरमीडियरीज फॉर दैट मैटर or investors for that matter, they used to just invest in fixed deposit primarily. Definitely,
right.
The equities and other asset class, that is for niche class of investors. But
correct.
Primarily, fixed deposit used to be the darling of investors and darling of intermediaries.
Right.
As we grew, I remember in 1997-98, mutual fund, private sector mutual fund, they started promoting, through various intermediaries, and there was a lack of awareness. And at that point in time, only debt mutual fund used to be sold.
Oh, safer.
Safer.
Right.
And interest rate was completely, the flat interest rate, so people used to get a fixed kind of, the return in debt mutual fund. As we grow, it was very tough, very, very tough to basically sell mutual fund, or even, from investors' perspective, there was lack of awareness, so mutual fund used to be very, very perceived as an extremely, extremely risky product because people have burnt fingers in some of the mutual fund, without taking their names. But the intermediaries and regulators and government, they took initiative, and thankfully, that industry grew, and from 2 lakh to now, roughly 65 lakh crore. The tagline mutual fund sahi hai, so that has become the tagline, and people are really associating themselves, with mutual fund, or so to say the regular investment in the form of SIPs. Last 4-5 years, if you see, I think, some of the complex products like for evolved class of investors or HNIs have come into picture, which is PMS, AIF, REITs, InvITs, and to HNI, the ultra HNI, that has also become, a well adopted product. But one product, I think, the fixed income market, the fixed deposits, leave aside fixed deposits, but fixed income, what I mean to say, the bonds that have been completely ignored by retail investors. And the major reason, what I feel is the lack of information, excess of information, proper transparency. If I want to buy any bond, I don't know whom to approach, whom to reach, कहाँ जाएं, किससे बात करें, whether the price which I am getting, it is right price or wrong price. whether it is safe or not, because some of the bonds they have defaulted
Right.
completely. So these are the reasons, I think, because of which, even the intermediaries, there's lack of interest from intermediaries, because of the common access of
yeah.
information and so on and so forth. So ये market develop नहीं कर पाया. But now I strongly believe, seeing my total journey, I think we are at the cusp and we are at the point where I think, all the stakeholders, they are showing interest, and probably this market will blast sooner than later.
Very interesting. I mean, I completely agree with you on that. And I see जो push आ रहे different directions से, this is almost the inflection point of the bond market. So thank you, very interesting journey. I'm so happy to be associated with you, with BondView in various capacities that you asked.
No, thanks, Vedant. I think, I am also very excited to see the immense opportunities.
Yeah.
So the opportunities that we are seeing is immense opportunities.
Right.
And we are at a point from where, there is only northward movement.
Right. That was very insightful, Sanjeev sir. इससे एक और क्वेश्चन मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है कि lot of investors that we're interacting with right now, उनके थोड़े से myths रहते हैं, थोड़े से perceptions रहते हैं about the bond market, that maybe it is for like just old age investors, or it is not accessible, etc. You've been in the industry for so long, so what's your view on it, and how do we counter these myths? Because reality, in fact, you came industry में is very different. So then how do we counter it, and how do we also showcase it to our investors?
No, you're absolutely right, Vedant. अगर आप underlying theme अगर आप देखो, तो fundamentally, if you see, fixed deposits and bonds, में फर्क है, but technically फर्क है. But if you see, you are investing in a product, you are getting a fixed coupon, fixed interest rate. But the myths are that bonds, FDs are basically for retail investors.
Right.
Bonds are basically for evolved or institutional investors. That is the prima facie, that is the myth. But that is wrong. That is point number one.
If I'm not wrong, sorry, on this point itself, कि आज as low as 1,000 rupees can be invested in a bond,
absolutely.
right?
As low as 1,000 rupees can be invested in bonds. Even if you see, the RBI direct has come,
right,
where you can participate in Government of India securities,
right.
And for that matter, investors and retail investors are not aware about the platform, so to say. So one myth is that. Second myth is, and see, how it's irony that bond basically it is a listed securities. Definitely unlisted bonds are there, but it is a listed securities. FDs are not listed, and it is available in demat form. But irony is that since it is available in demat form, people feel that it is risky. Retail investors.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about evolved or well-informed investors.
Right.
They understand, but retail investors, the moment they feel that I think it is in demat, I think it is risky. But off late, if you see last 2-3 years post-COVID, a lot of the demat accounts have been opened. The adoptions are happening fast. So I think I'm sure retail investors will also perceive it as a interest, is an instrument of their choice.
Right.
The third thing about bond market, it is perceived that bond is for senior citizens. Because that is giving the interest rate, so it is for senior citizens. It is not for young people. It is not for. But if you dig deep and understand the underlying things, there are short-term bond funds,
right,
short-term bonds,
right,
having the maturity of 1 year, 7 months, 8 months, giving better returns than fixed deposits,
right,
and bank fixed deposits. There are medium-term bonds, which can give you very secure and very stable returns.
Right.
So even the younger generation and generation of or the age of any age group, they can pick and choose,
right,
and depending upon their need, they can invest in bonds.
And they are fairly liquid also.
They are fairly liquid, very extremely liquid, because it is in demat form.
Right.
So it is listed. And liquidities are there. Definitely, the liquidity is a concern on broader spectrum, and which we are going to solve this problem, with the help of various stakeholders. But if you ask me, what are the myths? So I think it is for institutional investors. That is a myth. The realities are completely different. The second is it is risky because it is available in demat. It is risky.
Right.
The third is it is only for senior citizen or the people who are of higher age bracket. But the reality is that people of any age they can invest.
Yes.
And the fourth is it is not liquid,
illiquid.
but it is the liquidities are there in so many bonds.
Absolutely.
So I think if we collectively with the help of various stakeholders create some sort of campaign, create some sort of the awareness, either by social digital media or by creating some conferences or seminars, meeting with various intermediaries, and through intermediaries to investors, these myths can be eradicated
right.
and the real picture will come into
Absolutely. Very interesting thought. जो myths versus facts की जो बातें कर रहे थे और आपने रेगुलेटर के बारे में earlier mention किया था, तो हाल ही में नवंबर 2022 SEBI came up with this OBPP Online Bond Platform Provider Guideline, right? So आपको क्या लगता है with this guideline coming into effect and a few entities becoming OBPP license holders, how will this help provide impetus to the bond platform, number one? And because of course regulatory covering is there, so it's also going to be very protected. So how do you think that is going to help investors trust more on these assets and then gradually invest and help in development of the entire bond segment?
वेदांत, अगर आप इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज पूरे लैंडस्केप को देखो और उसकी इवोल्यूशन को आप बहुत ही क्लोजली अगर वॉच करो, तो दिस इज अ केस स्टडीज इन इटसेल्फ. ट्रस्ट मी, इट इज अ केस स्टडीज इन इटसेल्फ. कोई इंडस्ट्री जहां पर रेगुलेटर्स ने इन्वेस्टर्स के इंटरेस्ट के लिए कोई अगर इनिशिएटिव लिया है, या वो रेगुलेशंस लेके आई है, या उन्होंने गाइडलाइंस लाया है, आप देखोगे कि वो इंडस्ट्री बूम किया है, वो ग्रो किया है. देयर हैज बीन कंसर्न. ट्रस्ट मी, आई कैन जस्ट गिव यू फ्यू एग्जांपल्स. And classic example, because we have seen the enormous growth in mutual funds. So time and again I am just giving you and drawing the parallel in mutual fund. But sorry to say that, because we have got that kind of the history.
Right.
If you see 2001, 2, 3 अगर आप देखो 3 के आसपास लगभग industry used to be roughly 1 lakh 2 lakh crore.
Right.
I don't remember the exact data, but that would be in that band. Today it is in roughly 65 lakh crore industry. It is roughly 35-40 times. And if you see the evolution, earlier in mutual fund it used to be entry load, exit load, the expense ratio used to be high. There was only regular plan. There was not a direct plan. But in the interest of investors, the standardization came in. So the direct plan came, the regular plan came, the entry load was completely removed, and all these initiatives, it is basically for the interest of investors. And whenever these initiatives were taken, the underlying concern was that abhi industry grow nahi karegi, but industry came with a double force, and then that grew it. I am drawing a parallel and seeing the similar thing here. If you see, pre-November or September, the point which you are talking about, November 2022, there used to be some, informal exchange where, the people used to buy and sell, but that was not in the interest of investors. And SEBI came out with the OBPP guidelines, to basically not only solve the larger pain points, but to also regulate the industry, so to say, to take care of the interest of investors. So if I draw parallel and just see, what is the similarity between, the mutual fund industry and fixed income, I am seeing the similar thing happening here, where, the government regulators are coming, at forefront to take care of the investors. And if it is happening, it is a matter of time why this industry will not
No.
grow. And coming back to your question that how you are seeing the OBPP is just a regulated entity. It is to safeguard the interest of investors, to provide transparency, and all these initiatives will really create a springboard to grow the industry
market. Absolutely.
Industry.
Like I think AMFI has been such a strong contender in the growth of the mutual fund industry. I feel, and you'll agree with me on this, that OBPP will probably do the same with the bond market and the growth of the bond market.
Any for that matter, any market, if you see, SRO, the associations plays a vital role. You see the case of mutual fund, as you rightly pointed out. You see the case of the registered investment advisors. The REI is the agency, the association. Now it is the case of OBPP association. They are playing a very pivotal role. Interacting with all the stakeholders, be it the exchange, rating agencies, regulators, government agencies, the certification providers, and so on and so forth, creating a complete charter, which will drive the growth of the market. So I think not only the OBP, the creation of the OBPP as a platform provider, but the association also, I think it will provide a boost to the industry.
Absolutely.
And if it is anything which is in the interest of investors, demand will come from there. So if it is in the interest of investors, all the things will fall in place, and probably I think that will provide the impetus and the growth to the industry.
तो अभी आप बात कर रहे थे like about the OBPP association, AMFI, etc. This is with respect to the Indian regulatory landscape, right? But we've always known that the US debt market is much larger and the largest in the world for that matter. But now I think macroeconomically, globally, we're going through a very interesting transition where there are tariff wars happening between US, China, other developing economies. But what we see as a silver lining is India kind of benefiting out of this from either a capital market point of view or from a manufacturing point of view, from an export point of view. So what are your thoughts on this at a generic level, not very technical, but on a generic level rather?
Vedant, any tariff war that is my personal view. It is not desirable for the global economy. Yes. Because if global economy will slow down, it will have some impact on Indian economy in short term. However, if you see the silver lining, as you rightly mentioned, India will be the biggest beneficiary in medium to long term. In short term, definitely, we will also be impacted. But in medium to long term, I think we will be the biggest beneficiary. How? To my mind, I think if you see, because of the high tariff, the China plus one story will evolve, and it will basically come into force sooner than later. Number one, the manufacturing setup, and India will definitely emerge. Today, the China is the manufacturing hub. India will become the manufacturing hub. They will start producing the high competitive goods. They will start exporting the things, which will have a very, very positive impact on the Indian economy. And if our economy will grow, definitely there will be influx of the capital, whether it is in the form of equities or FDIs, or for that matter the fixed income. India being now included in the JP Morgan index,
the Bloomberg
index.
Right.
So I think there will be influx of capital, and if it is so, I think it will definitely have a very, very positive impact on the broader level. So medium to long term, yes, I think it is a positive thing, but I think the short term definitely, we will be impacted.
It will be a little volatile in the short term.
It will be volatile for sure. Yes, that is my broader views. Definitely there are various technicalities involved, which probably I think for the interest of retail investors, I think it is not the right platform to talk.
Correct.
Simplify the things.
Very interesting, because it's always been that macroeconomic, any disruption or any change that happens has an impact specifically on the Indian economies, either FIIs pulling out their money or pushing in more money for that matter. But as you rightly said, I think that's just a short-term volatility that will be created because of a disruption happening. But long-term benefit would be because I think the entire economy will grow very gradually. When that happens, capital markets and bond markets will benefit.
Absolutely. So that is going to happen, because ultimately, the underlying theme is what? Underlying theme is basically the strength of the economy.
Correct.
The quality of products that you are producing. The segmentation, whether in your economy, what is the composition of which sector, whether it's service sector or manufacturing sector or agriculture sector. So India today, being dominated by service sector.
Right.
So I think, it is high time that, should also be prima facie on the forefront on the manufacturing sector, and definitely on the agriculture sector, if our economy has to grow. So probably I think this disruption will accelerate the China plus one story. More and more, the economy, this manufacturing unit will start coming into India, and India will have no choice. And definitely the broader ecosystem and broader regulations are also, the incentivization is being provided by government.
Right.
So India will have to produce, being the manufacturing, India will have to produce the high quality, the products to be competitive on the global scale.
Correct.
So by default or by design, it is very, very good for Indian economy at large.
Absolutely. Thank you. Very great thoughts and very interesting perception as well. At BondView, and since you're so closely associated with us in various leadership positions, helping grow BondView, where do you see BondView coming in the forefront of it? How is it going to be different while providing awareness, accessibility and transparency to investors, and hence helping them, empowering them rather, to invest better and invest in the bond market?
Vedant, we have been closely interacting on the larger pain points of fixed income market. What are the pain points, and we have been interacting very closely how to resolve it.
Right.
So if you see, what we are going to solve, there are 4 things which we are going to solve with the help of BondView. Number 1, the accessibility of information at one place.
Correct.
Means at one place, all the 26,000 bonds, whether it is Government of India securities, whether it is state government bonds, whether it is corporate bonds or bonds of any nature, we are just aggregating at one place, and also creating a filter that investors can pick and choose depending upon their
interest.
Their interest, they can pick and choose. So the aggregation, very curated aggregation is happening. That is the point number 1. Point number 2, whenever you basically take decision to invest in bonds, there are certain the information which you basically look for. For example, you look for what rating? You look for rating rational. You look for issuer detail. You look for various some of the key pointers of bonds, IP, interest rate payment, and so on and so forth. You look for cash flow. You look for IM. And these are the information basically either the retail investors or for evolved investors they basically look for. So that information is available at one window. At click of the mouse, you can just, at a very, very high quality UI UX is there, and people can navigate and just download it and see it and take informed decision. That is the second. The third thing is that the entire platform is completely integrated with the exchange RFQ.
Right.
So you are getting the live, the price, the buy RFQ and sell RFQ, which will provide, basically the liquidity to the investors. That is the third thing. And the fourth thing is very important, that whenever you are just buying or selling, the required information means the deal slip or the receipt, contract notes, etc. You will get there and then yourself. You are not dependent on other party, and it is completely settled. There is no counterparty risk because it is settled through one of the intermediaries of exchange itself. So these are the 4 critical components of any investment in which we are going to solve, and probably if you see the navigation, it is so beautifully designed that it will really interest retail investors. So my sense is that Bond Karega India, definitely BondView is going to transform the way India will trade and invest, or invest and trade in fixed income market and bonds market.
Correct. Because it's, I think, giving power in the hands of investors itself. Because पहले आप broker को call करते थे, वो आपको rate बताता था, OTC जो बुलाते हैं, या phone के through जो होता था, that's all getting amalgamated on one screen. So you're also getting information, you're also trading, and you're also managing your own portfolio for that matter. So that becomes much more seamless, like it is happening very much on the equity market, and of course with other listed assets as well. That's how we are also trying to build in the platform, so that the power lies in the hand of the investor.
Absolutely, you are right. And for the development of any product or any the market,
Right.
if you are empowering the last mile, that is a retail investor in this case, or for any class of investors, I think that market will have to grow and will develop for sure. So through this platform, by building this platform and creating in such a manner which will not only give you a high quality user UI UX navigation, good experience, but you are getting all sort of information which will help you to take the informed decision.
Absolutely.
So what more you look for?
Right.
So I'm sure now Bond Karega India, really Bond Karega India.
Very apt tagline.
Very apt tagline.
Sanjeev ji, we've had a very interesting dialogue across various questions with respect to India, global, investor mindset, investor security, etc. Let's make it a little bit more fun for our users. So we have 3 quick rapid fire questions I'll ask you, and just quick answers, whatever comes on the top of your mind.
So I have to just answer in one word?
One word or in a few words.
Okay.
So my first rapid fire question from your personal experience, this is what we want to ask you. So first one, which sometimes I think investors get into a debate of as well, would you select government bonds or would you select corporate bonds?
I am a risky investor, so I select corporate bonds.
A little, take that little extra edge for that extra return. Right? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, second question would be, when you're investing in a bond, what are 3 things that you look at?
So I look at, one is the issuer credential, which is related to, let's put, credit rating.
Correct.
Is one. The second, whether bond is listed or unlisted.
Right.
Primarily all the bonds are listed, but listing is one of the criteria.
Correct.
And third, I will definitely see the interest rate.
Interest rate, that goes without saying. I think that's the very basis what you mentioned. I think once investors see this, then taking any decision becomes easier.
Yeah, but not interest rate is very important, but doesn't mean that I should compromise with
on
the issuer credential or the rating.
Right. Because bonds also default.
Yes,
for that matter. Like for going for a very high interest, it may default.
So issuer credential is very, very important.
It balances that out in a way. So that's great. And the third one would be, would you invest in bonds for regular income or for long-term wealth creation?
That's a catchy question, but I'll go for regular income.
Regular income, yeah.
For wealth creation, other products are there.
Correct.
Fixed income is very, very, very good instrument.
Right.
But I will say that it is for. I will personally invest for regular.
Very interesting, sir. But I think with that, my questions per se come to conclusion, and would love to have your concluding thoughts on our interaction, our discussion. Anything that you would like to highlight specifically would be great.
No, Vedant, I think lovely talking to you and getting and discussing various perspective, 360-degree perspective of fixed income market, the evolution of market, fixed income market, why this market will develop and boom. Definitely, we are just waiting for right set of confluence, which will basically develop the market sooner than later. So it was very, very interesting. I'm sure we'll be doing more this kind of the podcast and interaction in future.
Absolutely. Looking forward to so many more dialogues, so many more interesting conversations. And if you have something from our users or investors, specifically if they want to ask us, we'll be happy to answer that as well. So
absolutely. Really so I just through you and through your podcast, I just want to give one message to the entire investor community or your viewers, that Bond Karega India, bond is not only for institutional investors, it is for retail investors as well. Institutional investors have invested, have you.
Yeah.
If you have not, please come and experience on Bond.
Absolutely. Lovely.
That is not a promotion, but I think,
I know. I think you love the hashtag,
Yeah, hashtag,
more than
yeah.
anything. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vedant.
Thank you.